Hello, CyberMaster fans. Ed Eisenstein here from CyberMasters Podcast, having a 2024 show with our good friend Eric, the Business Development Manager at Exertis Almo, one of the most exciting distributors for AV equipment and other conference room technology. Camera purchases, I hear this year, are going to be exponentially higher than even last year. So welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Ed.
Happy 2024.
Yes.
We have a bunch of equipment you brought with us today. So, Eric, welcome.
Thanks,
What's
Ed.
going on?
Well, thanks for having me back on, and I appreciate the nice intro. As you'd said, Exertis Almo is, on the cutting edge of technology in terms of a distributor, of the largest Pro AV distributor in North America. And we're continuing that growth and moving into different technologies that are going to help further not only the conferencing space and pro audio video, but also reasons why I come to see you for handling and integrating with IT bars. The growth continues towards AV over IP solutions. Everything is being run off of a network switch, and many devices are being powered with power over Ethernet, which is part of the switch. So it's going more and more into your wheelhouse where you'll be able to basically not only just be the IT director or somebody who assists these Pro AV applications to get on the network, but you're actually going to be able to do most of them yourself because audio and video technologies are improving and going over the network, and your guys that work for your company would be doing most of these jobs from anything from control systems, digital signage, even signal distribution where encoders and decoders are used, and it all runs over the network.
Can you talk a little bit more about signal distribution, why it's important for IT guys to understand that as part of the AV world?
That's a good point, Ed. The signal distribution is what I specialize in. So as things go IP-based, the signal distribution is basically how would you take a video signal or an audio signal and be able to traverse that over a network so that you can get to your endpoint locations. Now things are moving towards category cable and fiber optics. So now you're powering devices that were normally not powered, with PoE switches, devices that did not have, IP protocols that would run over a network. They were just traditional analog signals for audio, or they could just even be a digital signal, but running over a separate type of infrastructure like HDMI.
What's the difference in the IT world between a switch and in the video world, a switcher? Because IT guys hear switcher and they think it's somebody who doesn't understand networking. So what's the difference between a switch in networking world and a switcher in video world?
All right, so a switcher can also be called like a router, and not to confuse it with a networking term of routing, but it was basically a way where you could take video signals and sources and route them through a switching device that would basically take a number of inputs and a fixed number of outputs and be able to send that signal to those destinations.
That sounds like a network switch.
It does, but the only difference is that it's not IP based. So these things, a switcher is completely, it may have a LAN port on it for management and centralized, monitoring, but by no means was it ever an IP device.
So let's jump right in. Tell us about your company.
I've been Senior Business Development Manager, been with the company for about 9 years now, and Exertis Almo is the largest Pro AV distributor in North America. We have counterparts around the world, and we're able to deliver Pro AV equipment and all of the cutting edge technologies that are part of this industry in rapid fashion, and we're usually leading the charge because we're a specialized organization where we have a group of business development managers that support manufacturers and vendors. Like, for example, the ones that I support would be like Altona on this equipment and Lumens and maybe even Netgear you've heard of. And these are brands that are active players in the Pro AV industry because of what they bring to the table in terms of products and the technologies and applications that integrators, dealers, and resellers that for audiovisual are getting themselves into for projects.
Interesting. So tell us about some of these brands.
Well, I brought a couple of devices here. Typically, with PTZ cameras, you see a lot of pan-tilt zoom cameras that are in conferencing spaces. There was a big purchase.
Now that's this guy, right?
Several, both. I have two PTZ cameras.
So this is a pan-tilt zoom setup Meaning that it sits on this base.
Yes.
How does it work exactly?
Well, basically, the device has a number of outputs that you can either run over an IP protocol, you can use HDMI, or you can even use a technology called 3G SDI, which is basically over coax.
Now, I see the coax connector.
These cameras may look familiar, and you say, well, I've seen one PTs, you've seen them all. You have not, because these enhancements and improvements with the technology are actually quite interesting. So with the improvement in technology, these pan-tilt zoom cameras were gobbled up during the pandemic when everything was remote. And you're talking training rooms, you're talking classrooms, you're talking really anybody where there was a presenter. Even for house of worship, if you were in a church, synagogue, you were also seeing, the sermons and their whatever.
But why Lumens? Why were Lumens?
Well, Lumens is the largest PTZ manufacturer in the world globally.
Lumens is the largest PTZ manufacturer
in the world.
And you guys are a primary distributor for this brand.
We're an exclusive distributor.
Exclusive distributor?
Yeah.
Okay.
So again, I manage the line, and this particular model is even more exciting because it has artificial intelligence built in.
Okay.
So you're like, what is the importance? We've all heard a lot about AI and what's the importance of it and how it integrates with the products in our lives. This camera was one of the first that has artificial intelligence built in, where it is able to track a presenter's face. So you used to have to wear these lanyards that would be like for infrared, or they'd have something that would allow a camera to be able to see it. Now there's actually two cameras in one. This has a camera on the bottom here. This is a camera in the front that's tracking the environment, and this is your actual camera with optical lens. And basically it has artificial intelligence that allows you to track the presenter by face. So it'll follow you around the room, whereas others would have required more cameras to be set up and have presets.
The way we have it here in the studio, we have lights, we have cameras, sort of a 30-minute to 1 hour setup, where this you could literally plop down and it'll auto search.
Yeah.
It'll auto look for your audience and set it up. How does the dual camera setup work? What's the purpose of that dual camera?
Well, it has to analyze the environment, and then of course, if you have a mobile, like say for example, like in a college lecture class or something, the professor or the presenter or teacher is usually going to be talking about their
pacing back and forth, and the camera follows you without a cameraman.
And it even allows you to pass tracking to somebody else. You do have to configure it so it learns your face, but basically hand gestures like lifting up both hands will allow it to pass to somebody else. So they can actually even break free from a presenter and go to somebody else who's also part of that training or that classroom or that house of worship environment. And these cameras are also controllable with like keypad controllers with the joystick that you've traditionally seen from camera operators using. But again, it has independent artificial intelligence that allows it to track presenters without that need for somebody managing the controls. It's a nice advantage to have. But again, these are also actively being used in conferencing technologies too.
So how has Lumens held on all these years? Why are they still so prominent in the industry after all this time?
Part of it would be they're leading the charge with a lot of the technologies like artificial intelligence being built into them. Plus, they also use a very high quality optics. They're made in Taiwan, majority of their products too, and most of them are. I think everything they have is a 5-year warranty with advanced
5-year warranty.
Which honestly, not talking about warranties, but I mean, just it's a testament to product life. When you look at a product that you're about to purchase for a project and you see what I look at something called the mean time before failure, and you look at that ratio of how many products are produced versus how many fail. If a company's offering advanced replacement for 5 full years on a warranty, you can pretty much assume that they're a very, very low failure rate and are practically bulletproof.
I like it. And this other camera, what is this here? What do we have here?
That's another standard pan-tilt zoom camera that's very simple. It's USB. You could use it in this environment.
This on the side here.
Yeah, they come with with remote controls.
Is this also?
This is not artificial intelligence based.
But is it Lumens?
No, it's not Lumens. It's another manufacturer that also manufactures. There's quite a few in the competitive landscape, but again, to be the largest in the world is a testament to their development and the technologies. And
what's the brand on this one?
This one's from Altona. This one is one of their PTZ cameras that has, it's a USB basically output where these are very low cost but very powerful in the sense that they have a 10x optical zoom and they have like a 70-degree field of view. So you can capture a large room with these types of cameras and have a simple USB output that connects to any system, really.
Take a look at this.
Yeah, and they
So,
come with
so what
remote
about the
controls.
controllers? If you plug in 4 of them at the same time, so there's PTC video controllers. How does that work, and where does that fit into this world? With Altona or Lumens?
It all depends on the design. So when you're designing a system or a project, now I'll give you a classic example is most conferencing, like if you're doing like Zoom, Teams, Google Meet, they'll have one on somebody talking or a presenter, and they'll have another camera positioned at the audience. Same thing for House of Worship type applications. They want to see the audience reaction as well as the person who's speaking. That's very common. So you see a lot of 2 camera setups like that, especially with a pan tilt zoom. It's not fixed, so it has the ability to move around and pick up the different parts of whatever you're doing, with a single camera. You can integrate up to 4 of these if the environment is suitable enough for it. And the cameras are getting more and more intelligent. They're working. Do you remember last year we talked about the adaptive audio technology where they use beamforming microphone arrays, and we were like, beamforming? That sounds almost like from an alien.
But you're saying all these can be connected to a 4-camera controller to run a fairly big show, including the artificial intelligence and the advanced audio, all sort of built into these devices.
Yes, not specifically every camera, but many of them, they usually have approved cameras that are certified to work with big players in this audio tracking industry, which is like Yamaha, you have Nareva, and you also have Shure and Sennheiser. These are companies that everybody knows in the audio world make microphone arrays, and what these microphone arrays are so intelligent, they can pick up on any speaker, and the camera follows that. So it follows.
Wow.
So it's not just artificial intelligence, but it'll actually follow a
your
speaker
voice
based on a beam that attaches to a speaker, and then finds that person in that environment.
I love it. Very nice. What does this Altona device do? It says Altona.
This is one of my favorites for when you have a simple conferencing space or something like that. You look at the size of that device, it's so small, but basically it has a world of functionality, and it has the ability to do presentation and collaboration. So when you fire it up, and it has, you connect it to say like any kind of display, like a TV through an HDMI port on the back here. And what it does is it allows the room environment to become a collaborative process where you can have a presenter and you can have people jump on, and even have multiple people on the same screen at the same time.
Wow. Okay.
So it's not for camera technology.
So it turns your screen, the conference room screen, into a conferencing device.
Yeah,
that little box.
Collaborate. This tiny little box.
What does that box cost generally? What's the MSRP on this guy?
The MSRP on this, they're under $1,000 each.
Wow,
For competitive products like this are usually significantly more, and they're also larger. These have all the built-in wireless that you would need. So it has the ability to connect wirelessly to any native Windows 10 using Miracast or any iPhone or Android product.
What is the biggest growth for 2024?
2024 is going to be an interesting year. There has been a lot of talk about, remember we talked additionally last year about DV LED.
Okay.
You're seeing massive improvements in direct view LED technologies and displays. They're limited only by what your mind can construct. You could literally build entire rooms, walls, structures. You've already seen them in the airports. You've already seen them in a number of locations.
Okay.
Most recently, that was probably the most impressive that I've ever seen was the NBA playoffs.
So you're saying that those
game.
screens and this Altona equipment working together gives you like a maximum video experience?
Well, for signal distribution, of course, and for cameras, yeah. But like the biggest thing that I've seen is displays. The pixel pitch has gone down, making the resolution even finer from a close distance. Indoor, outdoor technologies, and they're just making it. When you usually enter one of our halls for an event that we have, one of our E4 events, like we're having one in a couple weeks coming up in the Chicago area, it is probably the most eye-catching, and they're becoming lower cost now because you have huge manufacturers that are adopting this technology and driving the cost down. where these are normally very expensive, even when we talked about it a year ago. So cost coming down,
Costs coming down, newer displays,
easier to
these
install.
boxes, these collaborative boxes on better displays.
Yeah, and indoor and outdoor capabilities. I mean, you're talking improvements from everything from a conference space to retail environments too. You
And the
know?
cost has come down, and different brands have entered along with some traditional brands, and the costs are very aggressive.
Yeah, now the bigger
Where
players.
where's video conferencing going? We live near Manhattan. A lot of businesses say, "Hey, we want you back in the office." But the fact is that hybrid is very active. People are still working remotely. Do you see any deceleration in remote collaboration?
No, I see enhancements in them because, for example, like everybody's now working on the hybridized environment where they've adopted one platform, say they're a Microsoft Teams house, and they have all of a sudden been invited to a Zoom house. How do they get these systems that they've invested all this money into to work with both of them seamlessly? So now you have companies that are out there that are making that an important point where you can have any meeting with any platform anywhere and use it in a hybridized setting.
How does Altona do with the Zoom Teams dilemma?
Well, they actually are Zoom certified for a number of their solutions, but the real thing is the Microsoft Teams rooms are leading the charge this year. Exertis Alsmo has partnered with Microsoft for the Teams rooms licenses.
Wow.
We've we've brought a big part of a couple of major companies that do Microsoft Teams Room certified equipment. So when they're certified and they're basically guaranteed to interoperate with each other, so you have manufacturers that are paying the big money and going through the process of testing and getting their product certified for Microsoft Teams Rooms, they're leading the charge. They seem to have of course, I mean, with most Windows environments, Microsoft was going to make a big play into this space. And now they have even enhanced upon it even more with like Office 365 integration. And I saw something really cool, which was they're adding artificial intelligence to it now too, where they have this product called Copilot, where you can add it on for business settings and sales. And what it'll do is it'll analyze your meetings for you. It'll come up with a transcript of it. And then it'll actually even have you, if you wanted to search by name, it could find out like how questions were positioned to you and any type of like action items you would have to take away from that meeting. So like high intelligence is being added to simple meetings that we were using just for remote conferencing. And as you said, office occupancy is still, roughing around 50% or so. So you're going to see more and more of these hybrid type solutions and remote-based conferencing solutions are going to be still very active.
Wow, interesting. Talk to me about the next exciting shows you have every year.
Well, there's
where
only
you
3
can
left.
touch and feel all this, right?
Yeah, so E4s are...
E4s.
Yeah, the E4 is something that we do. We do four of them a year, and it's basically a large expo of, you're educating our customers. We have classes there we always do that are certified for CTSRUs. That's a Certified Technology Specialist through a VIXA organization. We have the next one, the one that I just attended a few weeks ago is in Washington, D.C., and it was packed. It was probably one of the most busy and attended shows that I've been to since pre-pandemic time.
Wow. So now you have a couple of shows advertised here, April 16th in Chicago at the Drury Lane Theater, September 10th in Boston, and October 8th in Anaheim, California, where more and more exciting technology will be shown over time.
Yeah, I mean, you get a chance to show up to, and if you go for Chicago, which is on April 16th, you're going to be able to see all the latest and greatest technologies that I talked about, some of those hybridized solutions for conferencing, all those IP-based technologies like new control systems, even, and all those DV LED products and display products, especially the ones that you can't physically get a grasp of from a remote conversation. You need to physically be there to see it. And you can go behind the devices and check out how they're all wired up. They're really cool. And we also, we serve food there. So it's basically a full day event from breakfast all the way through the late afternoon, where you can get classes for educating yourself on anything that we have, like how to monetize digital signage is a big training that we have that's led by one of my colleagues, Todd Heberlin. and he's teaching integrators and dealers and resellers to not leave content creation on the table. They're just leaving money on the table. Why not monetize that and do it for your customers when they ask, if your end users have the ability to and they want to engage in that?
Well, I think that's a big thing now with AI. Non-content creators who are in this technical field can now add that component, and it's not painful. I know myself for selling Copilot for Office, it's a game changer. To be able to bring Copilot for Office and GPT, LLM to AV is a big deal. I will say that in every conference that we schedule, there's still a lot of manual work. A little bit of AI will go far in AV and scheduling conferences. What's your take on that?
Yeah, we're seeing courses on how to work with ChatGPT for our industry. It's been offered internally, and we see a lot of people taking advantage of it. A lot of people just want to simply understand what it is and how implementing it's going to be effective for us at work.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people are concerned that AI would replace physical bodies. I think it still has a way to go before you could even remotely do that. You can't quite replace a person with especially personalized relationships, as much of this process is building off of a relationship.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Let's go a little bit detailed on a couple of little micro items that create more confusion between IT and the AV world.
Sure.
The aspect ratio. Can you talk about aspect ratios, how they're different in IT compared to the AV world?
Well, the AV world, typically it was 16 by 9 for format you would have for high definition, and that was just classic. Most of your TVs at home, consumer. However, you're seeing monitors that are now like for, computer monitors, where even like Teams, for example, or Microsoft has 21 by 9 is becoming the aspect ratio that's desired. So you now have big companies that are making.
So what's today's standard? It's 21 by 9 is the new aspect ratio.
Yeah, it's still 16.
What's the current 16?
16 by 9 is typically the usual HD, the aspect ratio for 1080 and 4K right
16
now.
by 9, but now you're talking 21 by 9 aspect ratio. So much wider.
Yes, exactly. So the wider screen is becoming more adopted.
And I see that in my clients, they buy the big rounded screens, one big sort of flat, much bigger aspect. Yeah. But you can really do some great stuff and really line up all your icons on.
Yeah, it's largely being driven by those UCC applications. The conferencing and collaboration is driving that wider screen that people are adopting, rather than also piecing together multiple displays to say have a larger screen, or even building something like a video wall. You don't have to do that if you have a native 21 by 9 aspect ratio, which is something, like I said, that Teams is also driving the charge on that as well.
When do you see personalized drones flying around the conference room being your own art director? Right? Isn't that easy?
Coincidentally,
and it flies around the room. It's like, I'm recording you.
Coincidentally, we do sell drones at Exertis Almo. Yeah, it's one of the largest growing sectors of our business, with tremendous growth rate, because we're selling these for not only, think about it, like fire departments, real estate agents. There's a number of verticals that drones are being used in. It's not just for the casual enthusiast. A lot of these drones that we even sell have, some of them require FAA license to operate them. And even another one that is something that you don't normally see in AV, but we did see recently at one of the shows. We have a drone exhibit there, and you'll see IR. So you'll see infrared for like life-saving. So for
now, hold on a second, because I've seen this. So you believe it's possible to attach an infrared drone, a camera to a drone, and literally see heat maps.
Yep.
And
I do know that when I've seen some exhibits at like one of our shows, they were able to pick up, say, a missing person. Say somebody that gets lost in a forest or woods or a trail. These drones are able to save lives.
It's fascinating to see that level of technology without needing a helicopter and all this engineering reviews, right? It's fascinating.
Yeah, I personally, I'm blown away by the amount of uses that people have found for drones, but I'm also, I'm really, proud of the fact that we're part of it. We're offering these products, and we're offering the ability for these drones to be sold into the Pro AV market, and it's not slowing down. Sales are increasing.
Do you think that the drone will be able to ultimately tell if you're angry, if you're happy, sort of a mood sensor inside of the drones?
I don't know. I hope they can figure out when I'm hungry, because they sure would like to see a drone deliver a pizza. But
Listen, I was at a party the other day. They didn't feed us till the end. Had they have a drone, they would have known I was hungry when I got there. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. I mean, it's again.
they probably didn't feed us because they want us to pay attention to the presentation. So it was intentional, actually.
Yeah, as opposed to the E4s, you show up. You don't even
You're
have to
fed right away.
Yeah, you're fed right away. You've actually been to one of our
Yeah,
E4s.
I had some really great food. We ate together. It was fun, and I would say that's a little bit more exciting to go as an IT guy to an AV show. It seems to be more activity, more I don't know, people looking for AV, not always the super techie dudes.
Yeah.
Different crowd.
Yeah, and you got to remember, we're bringing the latest and greatest out to these shows. So if you're not sure about investing into the technology, or if your engineers or designers are not sure what the latest is going to be like, and they think about it would be good for an end user or an application or project they just got hired for, there's no better place to check it out. You have the manufacturers are there with their engineers and their sales reps. They can talk everything from the technology to the price points that you'd be looking at. Implementation, and then of course you have a number of other manufacturers to help you with the installation and integration side of it, from mounting these things to walls and other structures that you'd be using them for. There's really, everything, even from the signal distribution, which is something that I handle, you'd be learning more and more about. So as an IT guy who probably went and looked at a lot of black boxes on tables, but didn't really know what it meant until you saw the signage next to it and listing the bullet points of features, there's really no better way. And you saw how excited I get when I go to these shows. Just imagine everybody else who finds something. Usually everybody that I've known comes to these has an aha moment where you're not seeing the same boring stuff over and over. You're seeing new stuff every few months. And
Well, you know what blew me away, and I still talk about it months later. I saw the screen. It was the size of a wall, and the guy was able to package it up into a small suitcase. I've never seen that. It was just a tremendous 100-foot wall, and he goes, "Oh, you just fold it up." It was perfect. It was fascinating. I've never seen
They
it.
got some really cool ones. They come in cases. They have hydraulic lifts inside of them, and it'll just unfold itself. The panels come apart. It's just really interesting how these things in here.
Well, the drone and the mood sensor would tell that we're having a good time, we're happy, and looking forward to this next show. So that's pretty exciting. Any last words of wisdom for people this year looking to invest in conference room and video technology?
Yeah, if you're interested in looking out for the latest technologies, and you're tasked with having to improve either some type of a collaboration, or you're working with some type of a platform like Zoom or Teams or Google Meet, I would love to talk to anybody who's there. They can reach out. I can help them with everything from the audio side. Anybody at Exertis Almo be able to handle the video, the audio, all the other things, sound reinforcement. Things are getting so cool that, like I mentioned in networking, how it relates so well to your side of the business. You're now going to have not only microphones, but they have speakers also that are PoE powered. You don't have to run speaker cable. You're only running one type of cable now, which is all Cat 6 or Cat 6A, depending upon what kind of resolution you're looking to achieve over a certain distance. But you certainly have the ability to enter this game now and understand everything from this point of network switch. It's really how everything is driving the business. You're seeing, companies like Netgear have cornered the market in Pro AV, and they continue to do so by adding new protocols and new codecs that are supported by their technology.
And I got to tell you, you got to be proud of Netgear for sort of shifting into the market and becoming the go-to vendor.
Yeah.
During that integration point,
Well, you know how they did
I think
it?
that's huge. It's huge.
They listened. So when you have a vendor or a manufacturer that listens to not only end user demands, but also the people who are responsible for integrating, supporting, and troubleshooting it,
Yeah.
that's when you'll be successful. They've created a tremendous interface where the IT guy is usually familiar with command line interface on a switch when he's programming, configuring it, or even just going in through the web UI, through HTTP. If you're going through that, it's fine. But when you have a company that took the effort and time to develop an AV GUI for guys who don't speak IT and how to set up a VLAN, how to set up multicast, how to set up IGMP, pick the ports that you want for the power over Ethernet.
The correct setup.
You made a simplified version for a guy who didn't have any ability or any desire to get trained in IT, traditional IT switch configuration. So now you've made it easier to deploy. And that also is a testament to how they cornered the market.
Good point. All right, Eric, we're going to end it here. I'd like you to take us out on the E4 experience and what to expect on the upcoming show there.
We're going on our way to Chicago, and there's going to be lots of classes. There's going to be food. There's going to be all the latest and greatest products that are out there that you're looking for anything, any application in audiovisual.
You're going to be there? You're going to be there?
I have another commitment, but I will do my best to make myself available at all the other E4s.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. And who should come who hasn't come before?
Anybody. We have end users that come from local universities or healthcare systems that want to check out the latest thing. We have primarily integrators, dealers, and resellers that want to either align with us as their preferred distributor or find new manufacturers to help them with technologies that are going to help broaden not only their business, but also help them grow revenue and partner with them. That's essentially what we're all about, is partnering. So we at Exertis, we want to partner with our customers, but I think as a whole, so do our manufacturer partners want to create that relationship with our customers.
Excellent. Thanks for another episode of CyberMasters. See you guys later this month.